Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of my Kirby holding a heart crochet tutorial. If you missed part 1, the video is linked in my description box. In this video, we'll go over how to crochet the heart, make Kirby's eyes, add his facial expression, and sew everything together. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more crochet tutorials and content. So next we're going to crochet the heart that Kirby is holding, so you can go ahead and grab your hot pink yarn or whatever color heart that you are making, just grab the yarn color for that. So for round 1, we'll be doing 4 single crochets into a magic ring. And again, I normally do the chain 2 method, so that's what I'll be showing here. So you're going to want to chain 1, then chain 2. And into that first chain, you're going to be doing 4 single crochets. So we have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and 4 single crochet. So for round 2, we're going to be doing 4 increased stitches all the way around for a total of 8 stitches in this round. And again, an increased stitch is doing 2 single crochets into every stitch of the previous round. So we're going to start by doing 1 single crochet. Then I'm going to place my stitch marker in that first stitch to keep track. Then we're going to do another single crochet into that same stitch. And that's our first increased stitch. And then we're going to repeat that 3 more times. For round 3, we'll be doing 1 single crochet and then an increase, and we're repeating that 4 times for a total of 12 stitches in this round. So we have 1 single crochet, place a stitch marker, then we're doing an increase in the next stitch, and we're repeating that 3 more times around. For round 4, we'll be doing 12 single crochets all the way around, so that's just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch of the previous round. So we have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and just going all the way around. So we're going to fasten off and cut off the yarn, and make sure you leave a long tail for sewing. This is actually the first half of the heart, the top of the heart, so we'll be crocheting the other half of the heart next. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch, and then leave a long tail for sewing, and then pull through the yarn. So this is 4 rounds, so we'll be repeating those 4 rounds again, but at the end of the 4th round, we won't be cutting off the yarn for that second heart half. So again, we're grabbing our pink yarn, and we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets into a magic ring for round 1. And then for round 2, we'll be doing 4 increased stitches all the way around for a total of 8 stitches in this round. For round 3, we'll be doing 1 single crochet and then an increase, and we're repeating that 4 times for a total of 12 stitches in this round. And for round 4, we'll be doing 12 single crochets all the way around, so it's just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch of the previous round. So for the first heart half, we cut off the yarn, but for the second heart half, we are not going to cut off the yarn. We're actually going to keep crocheting. We're going to connect this first heart half with the second heart half that we just made. So to do this, you're going to want to start by doing 6 single crochets around the heart half that you currently have on your hook. So we have 1 single crochet. I'm going to place a stitch marker on. 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, 5 single crochet, and then 6 single crochet. And then we're going to connect this first piece of the heart to the second heart half that we have on our hook by inserting our hook into one of the stitches of the last round of this first half and doing 12 single crochets all the way around. So normally I just do this into the next stitch after I finished off. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into one of the stitches of that first heart half. Then I'm going to pull up a loop and do a single crochet. And now these 2 pieces should be connected. So that would be our first single crochet into this first heart half. We're going to do 11 more single crochets around this first heart half. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So now you've crocheted in every stitch of the first heart half, and now we're going to connect back to that second heart half by inserting your hook into the next available stitch in the second heart half. So this would technically be the 7th stitch of the second heart half. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then we'll be doing 5 more until we reach back to our stitch markers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you should have 24 stitches in this round. So you did 6 single crochets around the second heart half, 12 around the first heart half, and then another 6 around your second heart half. And now I would recommend just using your yarn tail, threading it onto your yarn needle, and usually there'll be a little gap in between the two halves that formed after connecting them. So I would just kind of sew across that to eliminate that gap. And I normally just do this by going across it a few times and then like tying a knot to secure it. So go around it, tie a knot. And then I'll just leave the yarn tail in here for extra stuffing. And now we're going to continue single crocheting around to form the heart. So for round 6, we'll be doing 24 single crochets all the way around. So that's just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch of the previous round. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're just going to keep going all the way around. For round 7, we'll be doing 4 single crochets and then a decrease and repeating that 4 times for a total of 20 stitches in this round. So we'll be doing 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, and then an invisible decrease. And then we'll be repeating that 3 more times throughout. For round 8, we'll be doing 3 single crochets and then a decrease and repeating that 4 times. And you should have 16 stitches at the end of this round. So now we're going to go ahead and start stuffing the heart. So you're going to want to grab some stuffing and stuff the 2 sections of the heart that we have crocheted together so far. So this is what the heart is looking like so far after round 8 and after stuffing. So for round 9, we'll be doing 2 single crochets and then a decrease and repeating that 4 times for a total of 12 stitches in this round. And now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more stuffing to the heart. For round 10, we'll be doing 1 single crochet and then a decrease and repeating that 4 times around, and you should have 8 stitches at the end of this round. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more stuffing. Again, this will probably be the last bit of stuffing that I'm adding. So this is what it should be looking like now. And we have 1 more round to go to finish out the heart. So for this last round, we'll be doing 4 decrease stitches all the way around, and you should end up with 4 stitches at the end. And then you're going to want to just go ahead and finish off. So I just usually do this by doing a slip stitch into the next stitch and then cut it off and leave a long tail for weaving in the end. So the hole should be pretty small. You might not even be able to see it. Like I can't really see it, but I'm still going to go ahead and weave the yarn tail through the front loops of the last round to close up any hole that might be there. And this is similar to what we did for Kirby's body. Just gonna pull. That should help form the point of the heart. And then I'm going to go ahead and weave in the end. And again, I'm just kind of going over following some of the stitches that are in the heart so that you can't tell that it's an end. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut off the end, weave in the tail, and this is what your heart should be looking like so far. So this is the top of the heart, the bottom of the heart, and then Kirby's hands will hold it from the sides. So now you're going to want to go ahead and grab your felt or whatever you're using to make Kirby's eyes. So I use black felt for the back of the eye, white felt for the pupil, and blue for the bottom of Kirby's eye. I cut out a long oval shape using the black felt for the back of the eye. The height of the oval should be around 4 stitches, so this would be rounds 9 to 12 of Kirby's body. I cut out a small circle using the white felt, and the height of the circle should be around 1 round. And I cut out a curved semicircle shape for the blue felt, and the height of this should be around 1.5 rounds. And then you'll want to glue all the felt pieces together, and this is what Kirby's eye should look like. Once you've cut the shape for your first eye, I would recommend tracing those shapes for your second eye before gluing them together. This will help make sure that the eyes are the same shape and size. My biggest tip for working with felt is to use sharp scissors, as it will make cutting it a lot easier. And after you've made both of Kirby's eyes, we'll glue the eyes to rounds 9 to 12 of Kirby's body, and the eyes should be around 1 stitch apart. For the mouth, you can either cut a small circle out of black felt, or you can tie a French knot using black, super bulky weight yarn. The mouth should be placed onto rounds 13 to 14 of Kirby's body, centered underneath Kirby's eyes. And now I'm going to go ahead and embroider on some blush using the hot pink yarn that I use for the heart. And this is an optional step, so you don't have to give him any blush if you don't want to. And the blush should go just below into the sides of each of his eyes. So that would be between rounds 13 to 14. And I will be doing my blush across 2 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and use the starting and ending yarn tails to tie a knot to secure it. And then I'm going to grab my scissors, cut off the tails. So this should be what your Kirby is looking like so far. So we added the eyes, the mouth, and the blush. So now we'll be doing our final assembly and sewing everything together. So we're going to sew on the arms, the heart, and the feet, and then we'll be officially done with our Kirby holding a heart. So let's get started. Okay, so first we're going to take our heart and we're going to sew this down to the top of Kirby's head. And you can either cut another piece of this hot pink yarn, or I normally recommend just using worsted weight yarn that's either the color of your heart or the color of Kirby to sew it down, since especially if you're working with chenille yarn, it can shed and be a little bit difficult to sew with. So I normally recommend using worsted weight yarn, so that's what I'll be showing here. But again, you can feel free to just cut a new piece of either the light pink or the hot pink yarn to sew on. So I'm going to take my worsted weight yarn and then I'm going to thread it onto my yarn needle, and I'm going to sew the heart on at around rounds 3 to 4 of Kirby's head, and the heart should be centered in between Kirby's eyes. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, that's about where I want it to be. So I'm going to place it there, and then if you just kind of rotate it, you would want to make sure that the center of the heart hits the center of Kirby's eyes, and that'll be the right placement. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this yarn. So I'm just going to go through that last round of the heart, kind of leave a good amount of yarn so I have enough to sew with. And again, count 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to go around there. So I'm going to just sew the heart there, and always keep checking that it is symmetrical. And it's okay if it's a little bit floppy, because we'll be sewing on the arms on either side of it, so that'll help it like stick up. But we want to sew down the heart first so that we know our placement. And if you are using worsted weight yarn, you just want to make sure you pull really tightly so that you can't see the yarn. Okay, so this is what your Kirby should be looking like so far with the heart on top. And it's okay if it's a little bit floppy, because we'll be sewing on the arms on either side of it to help hold up the heart. So you're going to want to go ahead and grab the 2 arms that you made earlier, and we're going to position them on either side of the heart. So it kind of looks like this. And we are going to add stuffing to the arms before or as we sew on the arms, and that will help with the structure. So the arm should be sewn on between rounds 3 to 7 of Kirby's body on either side of the heart. And you should sew the arms to the body, and then you should also sew the top side of the arms to the heart too, so that it's holding the heart. So I'm going to go ahead and start sewing that. So you can either, again, use the yarn tail from the arms, or if you're doing a similar technique to what I'm doing, I'm just going to continue with my worsted weight yarn to sew on the arm. So I'm first going to position the arm between rounds 3 to 7 of Kirby's body, and then I'm going to start sewing on the arm. And then we're going to add stuffing as we go. You want the arms to be on the side, parallel to the heart. So I've sewn down around half of the heart, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my stuffing and start stuffing the arms. Again, you want to make sure that the arms are nice and rounded to keep Kirby's spherical shape. So this is what he's looking like so far. So I'm going to continue sewing around. So I finished sewing the arm to the body. So now I'm going to sew this top part of the arm to the heart, so it looks like Kirby is holding the heart. So to do that, I'm just going to insert my yarn needle through Kirby and then through the bottom of the heart, and then out the side of the heart that I want Kirby to be holding. So kind of like that. And pull tightly, and then I'm going to position it so that it's touching Kirby's arm, and then just grab one of the stitches of Kirby's arm and pull, and now the heart is attached to Kirby's arm. So I'm just going to go over that one more time just to make it super secure. And this is what it's looking like with one arm and the heart attached. So now we're going to go ahead and sew the other arm, doing the exact same thing. So we're going to sew the arm to the body, and when we're about halfway done, we're going to add stuffing, and then we're going to finish sewing on the arm, and then we're going to sew the top of the arm to the heart, and then we'll be finished attaching both of the arms. You want to make sure that the arms and the heart stay super symmetrical to Kirby's face. So again, the arm should be sewn on between rounds 3 to 7. So the exact same as the other arm. I find that the second arm is always a little bit harder because you have to make sure it's symmetrical to the first arm. So just making sure like the angle that they are attached on is the same, stuff like that. So it can be a little tricky, but don't be afraid to undo if it doesn't look good, because it's not worth it to not like the plushies that you're making if you've come this far. So now I'm going to grab some stuffing and stuff that second arm. Again, making sure that it keeps its rounded shape and that it looks about the same size as the other first arm that we just made. So this is what it's looking like so far, and I'm going to keep sewing it on. So I finished sewing the second arm to the body, so now I'm going to do the same thing I did as the first arm, and I'm going to sew the top of the arm to the heart. And this is what your Kirby should look like with the 2 arms and the heart so far. So should be super secure. Like if you shake it, the heart should not move. If it's still moving, then you might need to sew it down a little bit better, but it should be super secure. So now we are on the final assembly step, which is attaching Kirby's feet. And these are the 2 feet that you made earlier, the red oval-like shapes. And we're going to go ahead and start sewing those on. So to start sewing on the foot, you're going to want to take one of the feet you made earlier. You can either use the yarn tail that you left before, or you can cut a piece of the Kirby body color or red to sew on the feet. And the feet should be sewn on at around rounds 15 to 19 of Kirby's body, and you're going to want to make sure that it's symmetrical to his face. And the middle of the feet should be placed around 10 stitches apart. But again, you can customize this depending on how you want your Kirby to look. And we stuffed it before, but you can feel free to add more stuffing if you need to. And I would recommend just sitting your Kirby down on a flat surface and positioning your feet that way. And this will make sure that your Kirby can sit on any flat surface like it's doing right now. Because if you sew it too low, it might be a little bit unbalanced. And if you sew it too high, then his feet will be floating, which is also not what we want. And the feet should be placed so that the longer part of the feet is facing up. And I like to sew my feet on at a slight angle upwards. So again, if it's like, this is Kirby, this is his feet. The foot is longer this way than it is this way. So this should be facing the heart, and it's at a slight angle up towards its arm. So I finished sewing on that first foot, and this is what my Kirby looks like so far. I tested it on a flat surface and it can sit, which is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that on the other foot. You're going to want to make sure that your foot is symmetrical to Kirby's face. So trying to match up and make sure that it's aligned. So it's around maybe like 2 stitches from the blush, so I'm imitating that on this side as well. And then I'm also keeping the foot angled just like how I did with the other foot. And that should help make it symmetrical. So this is my finished Kirby. This is the front of the Kirby, the side, the back, the other side, and the front again. And it can sit. It's a little bit hard to see. I'll put another B-roll shot here of it sitting on a flat surface, so it's perfect for displaying. And I really love how it turned out. I hope you love how yours turned out as well. If you like this tutorial, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what other tutorials I should make in the future. I also have an Etsy shop where I sell lots of cute crochet patterns and plushies, and you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. If you post about your finished Kirby, please tag me, as I'd love to see how your finished plushie turned out. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thanks for watching!